Since releasing the last video on the subject, The Last of Us Season 2 has come and gone. I should have uploaded this video during the second season to try to siphon off some of those views, but I got a regular 9 to 5. I don't have time to pump out these videos. I always knew the second season wouldn't do as well as the first because those games have always been better as stories than they were as games, and the story of the first game is better than the second. So anyway, this comment reminded me of a glaring omission I made from the last video. There's an 8th point that I forgot to add to the list of things people still mistakenly believe about The Last of Us. Number 8, there were other immune people known of in the world of The Last of Us. I did mention it in the video, but there's a kind of Mandela effect thing happening around the game that I did briefly want to talk about, so I'll do that right quick in this hopefully short video. I don't want this channel to be all comment response videos, but the channel is called Clint's Grievances, and many of these comments do grieve me. So, to recap, there are people who dislike this game for legitimate reasons, such as the story not being as good as the first or a beloved character dying at the beginning. And then there are other people who hate the game for illegitimate reasons, involving bigotry against these 4 characters for their nature. There are people from each cohort that are still, to this day, being unhinged about the way they express their dislike of the game, posting crazy shit online, sending death threats to cast members, etc. Some of these unhinged people seem to really want other people to hate the game as much as they do, and they will lie about aspects of the story of both games and make shit up about Neil Druckmann in order to discredit the game. I can't really go into any more detail than that without repeating everything I said in those videos, so I'm just going to move forward in this video as if you've already watched those. First, it was a mistake engaging with this person. This person is aggressively stupid. They're not just stupid, they come at you with their stupid. They attack you with their brazen. Brazen is the word I'm looking for. They're brazen with their stupid. They seem to actively want other people to know how stupid they are and to be personally affected by it. Second, I don't expect anyone who's commented on any one of my videos to have watched all my videos, but if this guy, for example, had just watched a few minutes longer from the moment he timestamped, he would have seen me say this. So, would the vaccine have worked? The answer is yes. But, did the writers do a good job of conveying that to the audience? Absolutely not. As I said before, the writers did a very good job when writing the emotional aspects of the story, the relationships between characters and such, but they didn't do a good job writing the medical aspects of the game. When researching, if you want to argue that the writers didn't do a good job of making it believable that the vaccine could have been made by these people in these conditions, that's fine. Again, I agree, bad writing. If he had watched my overrated video, he would have seen me rate The Last of Us 1 and 2, 5 and 6 out of 10 respectively. Very low compared to most review scores for those games, and he would have heard of my disappointment about Uncharted 4. In fact, I think I already said this in my Yasuke video, but I think Neil Druckmann's presence in gaming is detrimental to gaming in general because he makes boring games that somehow become popular and thus influential to other developers. He took the fun action-adventure franchise Uncharted and turned it into a boring virtual novel. I don't like Neil Druckmann, but for legitimate reasons. Whereas you're just an asshole. Now back to this person who claims that the Fireflies knew other immune people. I wouldn't expect this person to have seen my first video on the subject, but if they had, they would have seen me talk about the doctor's audio log, which is what I knew this person was referencing. Of course, this person has already walked this back. They claim they misremembered it, as I'm sure they misremember lots of things. This person claims that there are other, more compelling arguments against the Fireflies, none of which we'll ever see them post here. As I said in the other video, the only thing the doctor's talking about when he says, as we've seen in all past cases, is that Ellie's infection, because she is infected, unlike all past cases of infection, is asymptomatic and non-contagious. The audio log does not say that there are other immune people, other asymptomatic non-contagious carriers of cordyceps. But for many people, this audio log isn't the problem. Part of the reason why so many people believe that there were other immune people in the game is because of an instance of the Mandela effect happening here, which is causing people to believe that there's a missing audio log in the hospital. The Mandela effect describes a phenomenon where large numbers of people come to believe something that isn't real. Large numbers of people might claim to remember an event, but that event never took place. The claim with The Last of Us is that there's another audio log somewhere in the hospital at the end of the game, where a doctor or scientist, sometimes people will claim a female doctor or scientist, explicitly says that there were other immune people besides Ellie. But the claim continues that Neil Druckmann himself had this audio log patched out of the game to strengthen or support the story of The Last of Us 2. Given all the hate for The Last of Us 2 and Neil Druckmann, if this secret vanished recording actually existed, it would already be all over the internet, because this recording would still exist on launch day copies of the discs, and there are plenty of people who still have theirs. All anyone would need to do is get a fresh PS3, which doesn't have any Last of Us update files on it, and play the game offline with a capture card. The reason why nobody's done this yet is because this recording doesn't exist. I really didn't want to do this, but here goes. Let's talk about the comments. In the comments of my videos, there are people who agree with me and people who don't, and that's fine. And there are regular people and assholes on both sides. There are people who agree with me in the comments of my overrated video, for example, agreeing with me in ways I don't like. They're just being assholes. I'm not cool with that. Don't be an asshole in my name. I can do that all by myself. I don't do much in the way of comment moderation, as you can tell from all the hate in the comments of that video. The only thing I moderate is racism. I think racism is a sign of a sick and disordered mind. If you are racist, you are in some way fundamentally broken, and there is no opinion you could hold that I could ever have any reason to value. For such people who have valueless opinions, I click the 3 dots and select Hide User from Channel. This is great because if they leave a comment, I won't see it, and neither will anyone else. They can watch the video while screaming into the void, and I still get the view. Ideally, what you want from a comment section is reasoned, sensible pushback. And you do sometimes get that, but you also get the other end of the spectrum and everything in the middle. Like, for example, this guy. He left some comments on this video. I responded. He felt as though I misrepresented him. Now, I don't think I misrepresented him, and I remember at the time not knowing what was so hard for him to understand about whatever it was I said that he's referencing here. But I can't be bothered to go back and watch both videos and reevaluate and adjudicate this disagreement. He and I are just speaking 2 different languages. We just don't understand each other, and that's fine. He's not being nice in these comments, but he's also not being an asshole. And I haven't seen any other crazy comments from him, so I got no problem with this guy, and I'm content to leave it there. This guy, on the other hand, the guy beneath him, as he is beneath all of us, is another story. Lenny01 was a racist lunatic who would go throughout all my videos' comments, searching for people who disagreed with me so that he could co-sign their stupidity. He probably got banned for posting cuck porn. All racists are obsessed with BBC. How do I know he was racist? Well, I wasn't able to grab a screen cap, but he did co-sign this foolishness. He wrote something along the lines of, "Put down the console, Digivante." Let's set aside for a moment all the rich and famous black people that existed in the 80s. The guy who led the team of engineers that invented the video game cartridge was black. So this comment is now gone. At first I thought maybe this person got banned from YouTube like Lenny01, but no, he's still around. Maybe he deleted the comment because he realized how fucking stupid it was. I wasn't able to grab a screen cap, but luckily I did copy paste the text of the comment into LibreOffice so that I could write this response. So here's that. This has to be one of the most pretentious things I've ever seen. Clearly, you've never seen a Fat Brett video. You got into an argument with bots online. Are you a bot? Is everyone who comments on a video a bot or an NPC? On a video you never watched? How else do you think I got this footage? I watched the video at least one time while recording it with OBS. I directly responded to several points made by Kim Horcher in my video that you allegedly just watched, and in the comment I left on her video in the first place. Then made a whole video where you stand on some, "My take is the only current one, and if you disagree, you are bad." This comment is so general, it becomes meaningless. You could say this about anybody who gives their opinion on anything. Don't even get me started on your little wokes versus chuds tangent that serves no purpose. The purpose of that segment was to highlight the fact that while there are many people who don't like the game because the story isn't as good as the first, there are plenty of other people who don't like the game for bullshit reasons. And these people went out of their way to review bomb the hell out of the game less than 2 hours after it was released, and they're still at it. These are the same people still sending those death threats. People like you are truly sad, and I hope you pull yourself from whatever hateful segment of your mind you're stuck. I'm the one arguing against bigotry, yet I'm the one stuck in a hateful segment of my mind. This comment is meaningless garbage. Everything he says in it is wrong. It has more incorrect assertions than words. Basically, what happened here is that this guy watched my video, disagreed with it, but couldn't come up with any reasonable rebuttals against it, so then went on a mad scramble to invent ways to shit on me and ended up just making a fool of himself. This comment would be completely useless, but for the pennies in ad revenue I might get from taking 2 minutes to shit on it. So, hey dude, thanks for being an asshole publicly. This guy hangs out on a weird corner of the internet. There's this strange idea going around that Neil Druckmann hates Joel. I've seen people post images with captions of innocuous quotes from Druckmann about Joel. I guess they're called image macros. And then they'll claim that the innocuous quote is somehow proof of something. Sage here, or whatever he calls himself these days, claims that we can know Druckmann hates Joel because of what he did to him in the second game. This is just silly. Characters are killed off for various reasons. Maybe an actor wants to leave the show or had a limited contract in the first place. Maybe the writers ran out of ideas for that character. They might even bring back the actor to play a different character. Maybe two of the actors hated each other, and so they had to get rid of one of them. There are lots of different reasons good or bad things happen to characters. All these people were killed. Does that mean Druckmann hates them? Jesse was killed like he was nothing. Tommy was crippled after being portrayed as a badass motherfucker for a good portion of the game. Ellie was strung up to a tree and impaled on a branch and got 2 of her fingers bitten off. Does this mean Druckmann hates Jesse or Tommy or Ellie? Oh, but that's not what this guy's saying, though, is it? Later in the comment, he clarifies, no one said killing a character means you don't like him. Of course, there are plenty of people saying that, but okay, not him. He thinks Druckmann hates Joel because of how he was portrayed in the second game. The stalest argument about The Last of Us 2 is something I've already addressed in both my first video on this topic and in my She-Hulk video. I would just play those clips here, but the mic I used in those videos was garbage, so I'll try to give you the short version here. People like Sage here love to argue that Joel, in the first game, was some kind of badass super ninja who could never be caught unawares, all because of that one time he was able to spot that obvious setup was obvious.
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
What about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
Him being caught in this way is, allegedly, completely out of character. They ignore all the times in the first game where Ellie had to save him because he got caught slipping. They also ignore the fact that he no longer lives the life of a smuggler in a military police state, where he has to constantly keep his guard up. He now has this world's equivalent of a real job in this world's equivalent of a safe community, where he lives happily with his brother and surrogate daughter and has lived among friends and family for 4 or 5 years. These 2 men, valued protectors of their community, running from a horde of infected, see a girl, they save her.
Come on, this way!
She suggests a safe place, and with no other options in sight, they go.
That ain't gonna hold. We gotta go back.
We can outrun them all the way to Jackson. We need to barricade that door.
Tommy, we cannot stay here.
The horses ain't making it all that
My
way.
friends are at a mansion just north of here. It's fenced in. We have the whole perimeter secure.
The community these 2 men belong to regularly does trade with travelers. So Tommy, offering to trade with this group of travelers, who just saved their lives, shouldn't feel out of character for anyone who understands what these people have been doing over the 5-year gap between games. The writers of the show capitulated to these online complainers by altering the way Joel gets caught, with Dina being there instead of Tommy, and Dina yelling out Joel's name, and Joel being too concerned about the horde attack on Jackson to think about the threat behind him. Are the complainers happy about these changes? Of course not. They still moan. But anyway, while addressing several of his points, I ask for proof of his claim that Druckmann hates Joel. He then says, oh, so you're just going to ignore what I said, huh? And then claims that Druckmann himself said he hates Joel. Now, this would be perfect. This would be the exact proof that I'm looking for. If he could provide a link to an article or interview, written or on video, of Druckmann saying he hates Joel, then Sage here could embarrass me, make a complete fool of me. But it's been over a year, and he still hasn't given me that proof, so I guess he's content with the fact that he's already made a fool of himself. He's so stupid, not only has he misunderstood my video and my comments in response to him, but he's also misunderstood the fucking game. He got something very important very wrong. He thinks that the Fireflies did a lie of omission by not telling Joel and Tess at the beginning of the game that they would have to remove Ellie's brain to make the vaccine. This is just dumb. So, first, Joel isn't even supposed to be here. Joel and Tess were only supposed to take Ellie as far as the Capitol building, drop her off with these guys, none of whom were supposed to be dead, and then sneak back into Boston and collect their payment. We don't know if Joel would have even cared about Ellie getting her brain removed at this point. This version of Joel has not yet developed the fatherly feelings for Ellie that this version has. Throughout most of the early game, she just seems like little more than an annoyance to him.
Here's how this thing's gonna play out. You don't bring up Tess. Ever. Matter of fact, we just keep our histories to ourselves. And lastly, you do what I say when I say it. We clear?
Sure.
Repeat it.
What you say goes.
Good.
Hey, look. Gnomes.
Yeah, those are gnomes.
Man, I had an art book filled with these. I always thought they were super cute. Not fairies, though. They creep me out.
All right, then.
He only takes her further than the Capitol building out of a sense of obligation to Tess. And if you think he would have had some kind of moral opposition to Ellie's surgery, I'll just play this clip again.
This is how you gonna repay me, huh?
Repay you.
For all those goddamn years I took care of us.
How did you know
Know what?
about the ambush?
I've been on both sides.
Took care. That's what you call it? I got nothing but nightmares from those years.
You survived because of me.
It wasn't worth it.
So, you kill a lot of innocent people? I'll take that as a yes.
Take it however you want.
More important than that is the fact that Marlene is not a doctor. At this point in the game, Marlene only knows that Ellie is immune, but the specifics of what a doctor would need to know and do to create a cure or vaccine from Ellie's immunity would be completely unknown to her. This is the entire reason she wants to get Ellie to a doctor. And it's only after the doctor examines Ellie that Marlene is told that they would need to remove Ellie's brain. And I'm not getting this idea from this scene in the second game. I'm getting this from the notes and recordings at the end of the first game. The only lie of omission is Marlene and Ellie not telling Joel and Tess about her immunity. Going into these 3 videos, my position was that Joel is a bad guy because he did what he did for selfish reasons. And through his actions, he condemned the world to further infection because the vaccine would have worked. I was under the impression that the ambiguity of the ending in regards to the vaccine was a mistake, that the writers wanted the audience to believe in the vaccine. I also believed the fact of the vaccine working made Joel's actions that much more tragic. I also read or saw interviews with the writers of the game and show saying that the vaccine would have worked and that by saving Ellie, Joel condemned the world, that the infection would eventually spread to everyone. I created a brief fan fiction scenario, which I believe would have nullified any ambiguity. This guy, who left mostly reasonable comments on the video, except for this one, and this one, takes issue with my fan fiction ending because it removes that ambiguity. He says I'm wrong about the ambiguity, that the ending was actually intended to be ambiguous. If this is true, then I have to amend my positions a little bit. Number 1, it seems to me that the people arguing against the efficacy of the vaccine are only doing so to delegitimize Abby's actions and motivations. The vaccine wouldn't have worked. Therefore, Joel killed all those people to save Ellie from a pointless death. Therefore, Abby has no justification for seeking revenge against him. If this guy's right, that the efficacy of the vaccine is truly ambiguous, then the only justifiable position for any of us to hold on the vaccine is complete and total neutrality. None of us, not you nor I, can make any claim either way in an effort to justify or discredit Abby's motivations. These characters in this story are not motivated by what we believe. They're motivated by what they believe. And ultimately, neither of these characters' actions are motivated by the efficacy of the vaccine. Number 2, Joel is still a bad guy. If the vaccine would have worked, then he condemned the world. If the vaccine wouldn't have worked, then you could argue that by saving Ellie from a needless or fruitless death, he did the right thing accidentally. His motivations remain the same in either case. At no point in the story does anyone in that hospital express skepticism about the vaccine's efficacy. All of them, even Joel, believe it will work. When told about the surgery, he doesn't say, "You shouldn't do this if you're not sure," or "This is too much of a risk. You might be killing her for nothing." No, he says, "Find someone else." He doesn't care that they have to kill someone to make the vaccine. He only cares that it's her. At the end of The Last of Us, Joel tells Ellie, in this world, you got to keep finding something to fight for. As he says this, he looks at his watch, the last gift given to him by his real daughter, Sarah, before she was killed right in front of him. This is his daughter now, his surrogate daughter. He doesn't want to lose her because she is now the thing he continues to fight for. He didn't do this out of vaccine skepticism. He didn't do this for her. He did this for his own selfish reasons. And those reasons are completely understandable. He's an easy character to empathize with. But no matter how understandable his choice was, the moral quality of his choice was still fundamentally driven by a selfish need to preserve this relationship with his new replacement daughter at the expense of everyone else. I really hope this will be the last video I make on this topic, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Okay.